What exactly happened in last night's debate? Well, if you watched it all the way through, you probably got to this little nugget here.
She just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it.
Or you had to listen to the moderators once again pull a Candy Crowley. I'll explain that after this little segment here.
And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
I would tell you, first thing I would say, this is why decisions such as this should be made by providers, physicians, and the mothers and fathers that are involved. There are, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities, there may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So,
yeah, it was that kind of night there. Now, guys, before I get started, before I talk about fact checks, before I talk about what I saw in the debate and what I think will happen going forward, I want to go ahead and say this really quick. When we talk about the Candy Crowley moment, if you're not familiar, we're talking about a moment during the 2012 presidential debate. It was the second one between Romney and Obama. And the question of Benghazi came up, and Mitt Romney made a point about this. And, of course, Candy Crowley decided to fact check him immediately, only to then turn right back around roughly 3 or 4 days later, take back the fact check and say that Romney was correct, because obviously once these moments get out, they cannot be undone. Now, guys, before we talk about this debate, make sure you guys please go ahead and go to your phones, go ahead and go to your devices. Go ahead and cut the notifications on for the channel so that way you guys are notified when the video is released. Go ahead and hit the like button for this video so that way the video will go ahead and take up the algorithm. Talking a little bit funny this morning. I apologize for that, but obviously I got to get this video done early before I get to work on some other stuff today. This is the first official day that I could actually get back to doing what I was doing before the surgery. Now, here's the thing about debates. I want to go ahead and say this right now. Opinions oftentimes vary. I mean, you got Ann Coulter out here who has been never Trump up until about the last 2 weeks. Now, all of a sudden, attacking the moderators. And, of course, there's a lot to work with there. And, of course, you've also got other people out there giving opinions, such as Trump lost. Then you got snap polls, stuff like that there. And, of course, you've also got CNN. You've got the liberal media saying that she won the debate, even though she really did not get much talk time, which is not exactly a good sign, especially given the fact that they're requesting a second debate. I'll explain that a little bit further on the video, but I want you guys to think about this video in 3 separate ways. I'm going to kind of tell you what I think is going to happen, what I thought happened during the debate, and I'm also going to give you guys the pros and cons of each candidate during this debate, because obviously it was a debate. But still, though, the thing you got to understand real quick about debates is this here. It's called optics. Whoever won the optics game is normally the one who won the debate. However, do these things oftentimes change minds? Well, let's go back in time. 2016, the liberal media said that Hillary Clinton won all 3 debates that she had with Trump. Trump ended up winning the election. In 2020, they said that Biden won both debates. Well, Biden ended up getting elected president, even though I personally believe Trump won the second debate. 2012, Romney won the first debate handily. The second debate was more of a wash. The third debate was somewhat of a wash, but the media gave Obama the win. It seems to me that this right here only becomes a factor when you have multiple debates, and given the fact that Donald Trump had already knocked Joe Biden out earlier this year, yeah, it seems to me like people were obviously going to clamor over the debate. But here's the thing you got to understand about these situations. You got to understand about debates as a whole. Most people go into a debate with their mind already made up. But then again, though, there are those panels of undecided voters, of which you're going to see 2 right now, very, very quick ones, that seem to tell me that this right here did not have the desired effect that one might would want.
Repeated everything that Biden has said in the past. What were your thoughts?
She made Donald Trump made a strong closing statement by saying, why didn't they do all the things that she's proposing during the 3.5 years that they've been in office? And Biden did this entire moderate stance back in 2020, and she's trying to do it again in 2024, but she didn't talk about her policy changes between 2020 and 2024. Her whole centrist moderate stance is just a facade.
Now, granted, that's only two separate opinions, but here's the thing you got to understand, and this right here is a point that I want to make before I go further. During the last debate, the debate back in June, and I remember that debate obviously very, very well. I was sitting in a hospital bed. The next day, I was getting my first surgery, the surgery on the right side of my neck, of course, the right carotid artery. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't think anybody's going to be watching this debate because the mics have been muted. But if you are Trump, you actually want the mics muted because it helps keep you on message a little bit further. This one right here to me, I think was a little bit different, which I'll explain here in a second. But I want to go ahead and say this before we go any further. Right now, it looks like the post-debate numbers as far as ratings is concerned is probably going to be a little bit lower than what one that had occurred earlier this year was. That's not a good sign if you're Kamala Harris. Hence, probably the reason why it is that they are requesting a rematch. You typically don't tend to request a rematch if you thought you won the debate. But then again, there may also be another thing going on with this. They may be requesting a second debate for the viral moment that she did not get. I mean, there was this little gem from last night.
14 or 15 different policies, like she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now.
That's the viral moment that she was looking for, by the way. She was looking for the I'm speaking moment. Look, you could talk about facial expressions and how the world that came off. We could talk about that all day and how it is that these right here hurt her optically. But the thing that really bothers me is the fact that ABC was cutting the camera constantly and panning back to Trump on several occasions. Now, he may have done that by design, which, of course, I'll get to here in a second. But the thing that I want to go ahead and kind of clamp down is this right here. Like I said before, you typically tend to not want to request a second debate if you actually won. Sean Fitzgerald was pointing this out last night like crazy. He had several tweets about it. And Robert Barnes even alluded to it as well. He felt that Trump won the debate. Now, granted, I'm going to give you guys my prediction, my thoughts towards the end, because I actually thought there was a lot of good and bad on both sides, or at least I thought there was a lot of good and bad as in, well, Kamala Harris's good was she just simply stuck to what it was that she was prepped to say, which tells me she may have been somewhat overcoached. However, given the fact that the media had to step in on several occasions, that right there was kind of my thinking in this debate. Now, I never made a prediction on how the debate was going to go this time around. I did in the previous one, and I said in the previous debate that the mics being muted would actually help Donald Trump out against Biden because it keeps Trump on message. My thinking going into this debate here was that the mainstream media would be forced to step in on several occasions, and of course, ABC did step in on multiple occasions to keep Kamala Harris from tripping and falling. They also did this to try to trip Trump up. But I think given everything Trump was going through, dealing with the mainstream media, dealing with the ABC moderators and the constant fact checks, even though Kamala Harris never got fact checked and told several blatant lies. For example, they repeated the Charlottesville lie. They repeated the graveyard hoax lie. They just continue to repeat the same lie over and over and over again. However, the problem is this right here. The lies that they continue to repeat have already been smashed by the Trump campaign. And also to go on top of that, as you guys obviously saw with the undecided voter panel, especially in Pennsylvania, a state that Kamala Harris would need in order to win the election, it doesn't seem to me like these people were impressed. I think the real reason why it is that Kamala Harris is wanting a second debate is for the most part because she didn't get a chance to talk. And of course, she could actually blame the media for that because they actually, in a lot of ways, kind of gave the debate to Trump. I think it was Matt Walsh made a point last night stating that, that's right. He stated that, he felt that the moderators may have actually helped Trump out unintentionally by constantly stepping in because it gave Trump more time to talk. Therefore, it gave him more time to actually control the pace of the conversation. And it's almost like a boxer going into a fight. Of course, if you have a lot of dirty shots, body blows, which Harris did land some. That's some of the positives that she had when she was allowed to talk. The thing is this right here. If you control the pace and you land more overall shots, then therefore you probably will win the fight on points. But, of course, she did stick to the script. However, those facial expressions and the fact that early on in the debate she looked a little bit rattled. Now, what exactly was said during this debate? Well, let me go ahead and kind of run a bit of a montage for you guys so that way you guys can see exactly how this debate ultimately went.
We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's. Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here,
threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal
field. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
He has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
It's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs. Her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed
What about
our
the MAGA
country.
hat, I think, was really the best one, because if you go through this woman's platform, of which she doesn't really have one, and it recently came out, they actually, they found the URL link that showed a copy and paste or something like that there to her website from Biden's. I think that when you actually look at the fact that she has tried to steal no tax on tips, now she's talking about a border wall, which was Trump's thing. She even used Trump's border wall in one of her ads. And also, to go on top of that, you've also got not only the no tax on tips, but also the child tax credit thing, of which, by the way, she's upped it, not seeming to understand, or at least the voters don't seem to understand, that most of the people don't actually qualify for that tax credit, because a lot of the people that she's gearing her vote towards or her campaign towards don't make enough money to pay the tax revenue or have enough taken out in taxes to be able to get that kind of tax credit. But, I mean, like I said before, they fact-checked him all night, but they never fact-checked her. The killing of the dogs thing and the fact that she busted out laughing during that, yeah, that right there just tells me that the audience probably saw this and they were probably a little bit zoned out at that point, thinking that here we go again with the cackles and the laughs. She does not take anything or anybody serious. And of course, we all know exactly what you guys saw at the very beginning of the debate. She's the current vice president. Nothing's been fixed. And by the way, there was also a moment during the debate where he even said you could actually pack up and go back to Washington, D.C. and sign an executive order and fix this problem, but you won't do it because it's not what you believe in, which, by the way, I honestly believe that Trump was correct in doing it. However, I do wish he had done that a little bit earlier in the debate. The dog story about them eating our dogs, that's a story that came up yesterday in Springfield, Ohio, a town of about 50,000 people that's had an influx of roughly 20,000 Haitian migrants. And it was a photo that was posted by Savannah Hernandez at TPUSA of a Haitian migrant walking down the road with a duck. Apparently, they've had this issue with animal sacrifice, which, of course, has been going on in the Bronx and Queens. By the way, for religious purposes, the First Amendment does not cover animal sacrifice. Just simply saying. The fact of the matter is this right here. This debate right here, many people are calling a wash. A lot of people are saying that Trump won. A lot of people are saying that Harris won. And my response to this is this right here. It's about the optics, is how things look. And if you're constantly fact-checking somebody on the stage and not giving the other person an opportunity to speak, which we all know the reason why they didn't do it, you're letting the other person dictate the pace. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, dude, you're a Trump guy. You should definitely be up here saying that Trump won. I'm going to say this right here. Trump could have won that debate if the media had not stepped in and interrupted constantly. If Kamala Harris had been allowed to talk, she would have gotten a few additional word salads in, and people would have thought she was absolutely ludicrous. But then again, though, at the same time, to go on top of this, though, when you constantly interrupt, you're giving the opposition an opportunity to speak a lot more, and therefore they also control the pace. They dictate what their conversation is going. And of course, there were also moments out there, like, for example, the abortion topic, where Trump was supposed to fall apart at, but in reality, he may have actually succeeded. Let me roll this.
Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer the question? Would you
because
veto?
Under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question, would you veto?
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
People were saying that this right here was a moment of which their Trump fell apart at, but the truth be told is this right here. If anything, it was actually the moment of the debate where he actually shined. Remember, the Democratic Party is going to try to make this particular election all about one thing and one thing only. Abortion. That's the only thing they have. The thing that you got to understand, though, is that when Trump sent the issue back to the states, or said we're going to put it back to the states, he muddied the waters and gave them nothing to talk about. I mean, I want to say this right now, only about 18% of the electorate even cares about abortion. That's not enough to get you over. And of course, Trump is doing much, much better at every other issue, from immigration to national security to the economy, issues that, quite frankly, I think are way more important, the things that voters actually do, in fact, vote on. Yeah, those issues there are the ones where it is that voters are really and truly going to put their votes at. There's really the issues that's going to drive people out. Yes, there's going to be some people who are going to go out there and go vote on the issue of abortion, but given the fact that they tried everything they could to destroy him on the issue, and of course he was still able to redirect the question back at her, I take that as a bit of a victory. Now, like I said, there were moments in the debate where Trump did in fact get bogged down, and there were moments in the debate where you had people like the likes of like Ben Shapiro who were telling you, hey, look, you know, he needs to get off this, like say 2020 election, stuff like that there. But for the most part, though, the moderators in a lot of ways may have actually helped Trump out, at least as far as in the voters' eyes. Remember, the snap poll that shows her winning the CNN panel 63-37, which I find to be kind of odd because no poll adds up to 100%. The vast majority of the people who were voting in that were people who were watching it on CNN. I'm very interested to see what Fox, I'm very interested to see what MSNBC, which we all know what MSNBC is going to say. But snap polls typically tend to be the person who's watching is going to give the actual vote. And of course, there's also the possibility that one side's people or one side's voters may get inside the actual poll and vote harder for their candidate. Still, at the same time, though, as you guys saw earlier, it looks to me like undecided voters, for the most part, that Kamala Harris desperately needs, they're not exactly budging. Oh, they're going to tell you it's because Kamala Harris did not clamp down the issues or talk about the issues that they want her to talk about. But I really think it's tweets like what I'm showing you guys now. These people saying the ABC moderators were doing great when clearly people watching the debate could tell that the ABC moderators were stepping in a little bit too much. I mean, they fact-checked Donald Trump, but they never fact-checked Kamala Harris. And one lie after the other came out of her mouth. Basically the same exact debate performance out of her, just slightly better than what Joe Biden did, because Joe Biden did the exact same thing. The only difference was that moderators stepped in to save her on several occasions. That's not exactly a good look. It also makes her look weak. In the case of Biden, it didn't make him look weak in 2020 when Trump suddenly started fighting with Chris Wallace. It didn't make Biden look weak at all. It made Trump look bad. But this time around, though, it's a little bit different, especially given the fact that she's supposed to be a strong, independent woman, a strong female, and therefore, at the same time, she also showed that unless she had serious, copious amounts of help from the mainstream media, from ABC moderators, it seems to me like, she came off looking weak. Hence the reason why it is that she wants a second debate. But of course, if you trust Ben Shapiro, if you trust all these voices that I've mentioned, then let me go ahead and play a little snippet of that.
It was fairly obnoxious. She lied a lot. She said a lot of things that were untrue. She was never called on any of that. The big takeaway is going to be the continued destruction of the legacy media on behalf of the Democratic Party. The legacy media have decided, full scale, they are now apparatchiks of the Democratic Party. They are so far up Kamala Harris's ass that they're doing active colonoscopies with their eyeballs. It's unbelievable watching David Muir ask questions to Donald Trump like, why are you so bad and orange and mean? And then turning to Kamala Harris and saying, and why is he so bad and orange and mean? It's absolutely insipid and totally insane. The media tonight were beyond the worst expectations that I had for them. I thought that they were going to do like a baseline creditable job because CNN did. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, they actually did that in the last debate. They actually asked questions and let people answer them. David Muir became an active participant in this debate. Lindsey Davis became an active participant in the debate. And then they never once fact-checked Kamala Harris, who lied over and over and over. She lied. She said, for example, that Donald Trump was a backroad Project 2025. A lie. She said that Donald Trump said there were very fine people on both sides of the Charlottesville riots, including the neo-Nazis. That is a lie. It's been debunked repeatedly. They did not say that that was a lie. She said that he had said that he was going to unleash a bloodbath on the country if he lost. That's a full-scale lie. They never fact-check a single thing that she did the entire night. And actually, that helps Trump.
I'm not going to go as far as what Ben did there, okay? I'm just not going to do that because I don't think it was as bad as Ben said. Yeah, they helped him out, or they helped her out. But in a lot of ways, they may have inadvertently helped him out too. There was even a small moment during the debate where Trump even talked about a certain story that David Muir reported on and said you did a good job at. You see, the thing about me is I like to try to find the silver lining in situations. And I also like to try to look a little bit deeper into certain situations that, quite frankly, many people are not looking at. Like I said before, you've got one side of the aisle screaming they won, the Trump side, the other side, the Kamala Harris side, saying they won the debate. It's going to be going on for the next few days. Obviously, it's going to be a 48-hour news cycle for this type of debate, and there may very well be another one. Me personally, if I was Trump, I would actually take her up on it, and I would say she challenged me, so I showed up. The point is this right here. Each side is going to walk away saying they claimed victory. You're not going to change anybody's minds about it, but it's about optics. Hence the reason why it is, I said earlier, Kamala Harris requesting a second debate means she did not exactly achieve what it is that she needed to achieve. However, Trump did not achieve fully what he needed to achieve, but I don't think he needed to, especially given how it was that the media would constantly interrupt him, get involved, which of course could also be a positive because it gave him more time to speak. Fact of the matter is this right here. This debate right here more than likely won't change anybody's minds, which is something that Kamala Harris needed because this election is about one thing and one thing only: turnout. I've said this on several occasions, and I'll continue to say it all the way to the day I die. I'll die on this hill. It's not polls that wins elections. It's turnout that wins elections. Who the hell can get your base out there? Trump has already got a hardcore base, and he's already got enough people who have decided to go vote for him this time around, so they put him right back in, which is probably more than the amount of votes he got back in 2020. Kamala Harris does not have the benefit of COVID on her side, so therefore she does not have the anti-COVID vote, which also means that she's got to try a little bit harder. She's got to grease the tires a little bit more to try to get her overall support out, which right now at this moment in time she's lacking in several areas. If you look at the crosstabs of that New York Times poll that came out recently, this right here was basically a carbon copy of the Rasmussen Reports poll and the big data poll that Richard Barris released, who, by the way, for some odd reason, he's having a meltdown. Meanwhile, everybody else around him in the circle is saying, hey, wait, what are you talking about? This right here went exactly the way we wanted it to go. The fact of the matter is this right here, and I understand this is turning into a ramble and a rant, but the fact of the matter is this right here. She didn't do enough to inspire the voters that she needs to get out to even make this situation competitive. And that right there is the main takeaway that I get from this debate. There are no winners and losers except in the optical eyes, and who the hell can actually motivate their base to go. Trump's base is automatically going to show up and vote. Kamala Harris is, on the other hand, for the first time ever, we may be looking at the Democrats and say, what happened to your base? But you guys tell me what you think in the comments section. With that right there being said, please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments. I'll see you guys later.